Why does being 5 minutes late feel like a personality flaw, even when you genuinely tried to leave on time? Why does someone else being late sometimes sting more than it logically should? Like their delay quietly says something about how much you matter? And if you're the one who's always running behind, why does leaving 10 minutes earlier feel strangely impossible, no matter how many promises you make to yourself? This isn't about time. It looks like a scheduling issue on the surface. But underneath, it's emotional, neurological, psychological. Chronic lateness has almost nothing to do with clocks, and almost everything to do with how your brain perceives time, handles pressure, and negotiates invisible expectations. You recognize this pattern if you've ever stood outside checking your phone, feeling that subtle tightness in your chest, telling yourself, "It's fine," while quietly wondering why your time doesn't seem to matter. You recognize it if you've ever looked at the clock in shock, realizing 15 minutes somehow disappeared while you were almost ready. That wave of panic. That dread when you know you're already late. That walk into the room where you feel eyes on you and immediately assume they think you're irresponsible. Maybe you've asked yourself the question you don't say out loud: what is wrong with me? The answer is, nothing is wrong with you. But something is happening beneath the surface. First, people who are chronically late don't experience time the same way punctual people do. Not metaphorically, literally. Your brain doesn't estimate time in minutes. It estimates in feelings. If something feels easy, your brain assumes it will take less time. If something feels uncomfortable, your mind subtly delays. Psychologists call this temporal optimism, the belief that the future will somehow be more spacious than reality allows. You think, shower is 10 minutes. Getting dressed is 5. I'll have buffer time. But that estimate is based on an ideal version of you, not the distracted human version. One scroll, one outfit change, one thought spiral, and suddenly you're behind. You're not careless. Your brain calculated emotionally, not realistically. Then there's task transition resistance. Ending one activity and starting another requires mental energy. For some people, that switch is light. For others, it feels heavy. You're comfortable. You're mid-thought. You're mid-show. Pulling yourself away feels disproportionately difficult. It's not laziness. It's neurological friction. Every just 2 more minutes becomes a tiny negotiation, and negotiations steal time. Now here's where it gets more personal. Not all lateness comes from the same place. Some people are late because they care too much. The perfectionist adjusts one more detail, sends one more email, checks one more thing. They don't want to show up unprepared. Time runs out while they try to be flawless. Some people are late because they're avoiding tension. A meeting, a social event, a hard conversation. Delay becomes a buffer between them and anxiety. Some are eternal optimists. They sincerely believe there will be no traffic, no delays, no surprises. Reality interrupts, and they're genuinely surprised. Some are quiet rebels. Maybe they grew up where time was rigid, controlled, criticized. As adults, lateness becomes subtle autonomy. I decide my pace now. Some are absorbed dreamers. They live internally. Thoughts pull them in so deeply that minutes dissolve. Time feels fluid, not linear, and some are simply overloaded. Too many responsibilities, too many demands. Their lateness isn't disorganization. It's exhaustion. Here's the irony most people miss. The chronically late person often feels more stressed about being late than the person waiting. They carry guilt, shame, self-criticism, and stress interferes with the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning and impulse control. So lateness creates stress. Stress impairs planning. Impaired planning creates more lateness. It becomes a loop. On the other side, the person waiting feels something too. It doesn't just feel inconvenient. It can feel personal, like their time wasn't valued. like they weren't prioritized. Even when they say, "It's okay," something lingers. Lateness, repeated over time, erodes trust quietly. So can this change? Yes, but not through shame. You cannot shame someone into punctuality. Lateness is not a moral failure. It's a pattern. Change begins with noticing your specific pattern. Build buffer time and treat it as the real deadline. Prepare earlier to reduce decisions. Practice leaving something imperfect. Acknowledge anxiety instead of letting it operate silently. When you understand the invisible mechanism, you stop fighting yourself blindly. Here's the truth. This isn't about time. It's about internal rhythm clashing with external expectations. If you're always late, you're not broken. You're navigating a brain that processes time differently. And if you're the one who's always waiting, your hurt isn't irrational. It's human. The shift begins when you stop seeing lateness as a character flaw and start seeing it as a pattern that can be understood and adjusted. So the next time you look at the clock and feel that familiar rush of panic or resentment, pause and ask a better question. What is my brain doing right now? That has nothing to do with the clock